Hi and welcome to this week's Facebook Live with me, Louisa Whitney from LKW Family Mediation. And apologies that I am a couple of minutes going live this morning. Unfortunately, I have a problem with my phone system this morning. I have put in place alternative arrangements if you're trying to get hold of me. But in any event, owing to other commitments, I'm going to be out of the office this afternoon and Monday. But if you are trying to get hold of me, then please note it will be back up and running on Tuesday. And in the meantime, you can contact me by email, louisa@lkwfamilymediation.co.uk, and I will pick up emails as soon as I am in a position to do so. So today, I'm going to be talking about what are the benefits of family mediation. Last week, I launched the new series of blogs and was talking about what is family mediation, what happens. And you can see that video on the bottom of the blog that you can find from last week. You can access it by going to our website, lkwfamilymediation.co.uk. And the link to the latest blog, which went up on Monday, is on this Facebook Live. So what are the benefits of family mediation? Why would you want to give it a try when you separate? Well, firstly, what I want to say is that you may be reluctant to give it a try because it takes enormous courage to come and sit in a room with your ex-partner in order to talk about what happens next for you and your children. Family mediation is not a soft option. It is not just for those who are pretty friendly and who don't feel as emotional about their separation for whatever reason. Family mediation can be used in pretty much all circumstances, provided it's going to be safe for people to be in the same room together. And it's something that all family mediators will be to make an assessment before they bring the couple together to check that it is going to be physically safe for them to be in the same room, and also that there's not going to be any harm to their well-being. It is sometimes uncomfortable to sit in the same room as an ex-partner, and that's something that I completely appreciate. But there is a sliding scale, and at one end there's sort of feeling a bit uncomfortable and it not being something that you're terribly keen on doing. At the other end, there is someone who might suffer an anxiety attack or a panic attack, or would have a very extreme emotion to being put in that situation. And that's the kind of scale of well-being that family mediators have to look at to see whether it is going to be appropriate. It is also possible for family mediation to take place without both parties being in the same room, and that's what's called shuttle mediation. And that can sometimes be useful where, for whatever reason, the parties want to mediate, but they don't want to be in the same room together. It doesn't have the same power as mediation when both parties are in the same room together, and I am always really honest with clients about that. But if it's the difference between you being able to undergo the family mediation process or take part in the family mediation process and not, then it's something that family mediators can offer as a service. We also sometimes break people apart in meetings, so we might talk to each person individually where it might be useful to do so, and that's something that a family mediator would make a judgment call on, and that's known as caucusing. So I just wanted to preface this Facebook Live by explaining a little bit about that, because I think it's really important. So why might you take that courageous leap to sit in the same room as your ex-partner when you separate? Well, firstly, communication. Being in family mediation really does help to improve your communication with each other and to help you to find a way forward to communicate with each other. You may feel we can't communicate with each other, and that is often a starting point in family mediation. But the idea is that a family mediator gives you the tools to be able to manage your communication going forward. And you may think that you would like to be at step 8 and you're only at step 2, but family mediation will help you work out how you get from step 2 to step 8 and break it down so that you're not trying to make a massive leap. You can do things in stages. I really want to stress here that communication is so important when you have children together. The term co-parenting has been used in various different contexts and isn't always used, I think, in the most helpful way. Sometimes it has connotations of jointly shared parenting with an equal amount of time being spent between each parent, which isn't always the case or appropriate or practical in all situations. I also think sometimes there's an idea of co-parenting being the kind of Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin approach, where you are able to holiday with your ex-partner, and for many people that is just a step too far and something that is ultimately unobtainable. And that's okay. It's okay to not be in that place. Co-parenting just means working together to parent your children, and that will look different for different couples, and it will look different for you now, maybe in 5 years' time. But the idea is that if you fast forward 5 years and one of your children gets themselves into, let's say, a spot of bother, and they are maybe hanging around with some people that aren't necessarily the best for them, and you are worried about that situation, will you be able to pick up the phone to each other and have a conversation about, this is happening, I don't like it, what are we going to do about it? That's co-parenting. That's working together to deal with different issues. And if you want to hear more about co-parenting, you may be interested in a video that I put together with Una Archer, who is a psychologist from Parenting After Separation. And I will try to remember to put a link to that video on this Facebook Live. So I'm not going to say too much more about the benefits from your children's perspective of attending family mediation right now. I am going to save that for next week, because next week I'm going to be talking about children having a voice in the mediation process, which I think is really important. And I will come on to child inclusive mediation and giving children a voice next week. So if you are coming into family mediation, you have already heard that it can improve the communication between the two of you. It can also speed up the process of resolving things, because you're talking to each other in meetings. You're not waiting for letters to pass backwards and forwards between lawyers. You're not waiting for court hearing dates or doing any kind of waiting. Usually what happens is you attend joint meetings where you talk about things and you go away with an action plan of things to do. And once you've done the things on your action plan, you can then come to another meeting. So things can be moving forward quite quickly. But it's important for me to add on that point that the process works at a pace that works for you. So if you're both in the same space and you feel that now is the time to resolve things and you want to sort that out pretty quickly, it can happen pretty quickly. But if you're both still feeling that it is hard and you are very emotional, then it can be helpful to slow the pace down a bit and just ensure that you have time to catch your breath between meetings, maybe to see your counsellor or therapist, or just to be able to process what's happened. And you may need a bit of a break between meetings before you can face coming together again. And that's okay too. Mediation is a really flexible process, and my approach is very much to tailor it to the couple that I'm working with at that moment and what they need and what's going to be most helpful to them. Mediation is also a really practical way forward, and this is something that I am a really big believer in, because when you are going through a separation and you have a bit of a Google, because that's what everybody does, and you come across various different articles and blogs and things online, and they may talk to you about, wouldn't it be great if you're able to both attend parents' evenings, and you and your ex need to be able to attend school plays together or graduations together, or don't make your children feel uncomfortable when they come to get married and they've got to talk to mum and dad about things. And that is entirely all true, and something that I really encourage people to give some thought to. But I think sometimes it can be really difficult to know, okay, well, I'd like to achieve that, but this is where I am currently, and every time we speak to each other, it ends up being an argument or a bit of a snipe, or things don't go very well. So how do I get from this place to being in that place that I've read about online and I would really like to get to? And that's where a mediator's experience can help you both with establishing where you are, where you would like to get to, what you think the current problems are, and helping you to find tools or ways of working that enable you to move forward, and putting together an action plan of what happens next. We've come to this mediation meeting, we've identified a few things that need to change. We know what we're going to do for change, but what happens after that? By coming into mediation, you can carve out these action plans and you can get the benefit of the mediator's experience, and that comes in lots of different forms. Mediators will often have had a previous professional life. Mine was as a family lawyer working with couples separating. So I bring all that I learned when I was working as a lawyer to my family mediation practice. But I've also learned so much more along the way about communication tools, about how the mind works, about what happens when you're in that fight or flight mode and you're feeling really stressed, and how that impacts on your ability to make decisions, and how that impacts on your ability to communicate with another person. And I have also worked with lots and lots and lots of separating couples. So I have lots of tools in my toolkits that I can pass on to people or tell people about, or other professionals that I can put people in touch with. So the process is very much catered to the couple that are there now and what's going to help them, what will help you move forward. What is it that are your biggest blocks to finding a resolution? What is it that needs to change for both of you to enable you to move forward? And that's something that we talk about in mediation, so that we can set out that action plan of what's going to happen next with practical steps. Because, you know, if I say to you, well, you need to be civil to each other, or you need to be communicating in a more respectful way, what does that actually mean to you? How do you actually put that into place? What do you do when you feel really wound up by the other person and you know you need to keep a lid on your emotions and not let that anger out, but you just can't help it? All of that can come up in mediation and can be talked about. And that's why I think it's a really practical process that gives guidance on moving forward. And it can sort of act as an umbrella, I suppose. So there may be other things that are going on for you to help you move forward. That could be taking advice from a solicitor to ensure that you're comfortable and confident in the decisions you're making. You may also be getting some form of emotional support from a counsellor or from a divorce coach or some other kind of therapist that enables you to manage your emotions and to deal with things that are coming up for you. You may also be seeing a financial advisor or a chartered financial planner to get some clarity around your financial situation. That might include how much you're able to borrow by way of a mortgage. It might include up-to-date information about your pensions and other questions that you have about your pension provision. And you can then have steps to go away and get that information from other professionals, or get that support from other professionals, and then bring it back into mediation. So mediation is acting as a kind of anchoring base and the setter of the action plan, but then there's other threads going out that then come back into the mediation session so that you can then tailor your action plan, add in some other actions, maybe take away some actions that you've managed to complete, and keep you on course to go through that plan that you've put in place to get you to the point where you feel you've got a way forward, you've found a resolution that is tailored to you and your family. I think that that's probably all I'm going to say today about the benefits of family mediation, largely because I think there are so many that I could probably go on about this for at least an hour. But I think those are the main benefits, and those are the ones that I kind of wanted to highlight today. As I say, next week I'm going to be talking about child inclusive mediation and mediation and children, and how children can have a voice in that process, or how you can bring them into the room even if they're not having a sort of a formal voice in the process. If you feel that you could do with some help managing your separation in a constructive and amicable way, then why not sign up to our free mailing list and get lots of hints, tips and blogs and articles straight into your inbox. You can do that really easily by going to bit.ly/LKW Family Med list, and that will take you straight through to a sign up that you'll just need to confirm. If you're a professional watching this and you work with individuals or couples that are going through a separation for all of your professional life or only a small part of it, then I also have a separate mailing list for you. And that includes the resources that I share with others that I've just mentioned that you can then pass on to your clients. But it also includes details of forthcoming events such as our workshops or networking events. And occasionally I include details of other events that I've been sent details of that I think might be helpful as well. And you can sign up to that list by going to bit.ly/LKW Family Med sign up. That's all for today. So for one thing, that if you have found this video really useful, could I ask you to please share it across your social networks, because it enables me to bring these really important messages to a wider audience. Thanks for being with me today, and I hope you have a good weekend. Bye for now.